Oh, hello there. Alright guys, so here's your pre-lecture for An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. Now, this is a story that you will read in college. It is. Probably your freshman or sophomore year, depending on what literature course you take. But you will be reading it again because it is a pretty classic short story. And what I mean by that is not like it was written by a bunch of old British men in the 1800s. What I mean by that is it is a quintessential part of the short story zeitgeist, I guess you could say, the catalog of well-known and well-attributed short stories. And the reason for that is because it has one heck of a twist at the end, because it is exceptionally well-written, and finally because it opens up in such a wonderful, kind of strange way. Whenever this, and I'll tell you about that here in a second. Actually, I won't. I'm going to tell you about that in your post-lecture. But your pre-lecture, we need to keep in mind is a couple things. Pay attention to the setting, okay? Pay attention to the character. And also pay attention to when things really, really change. There's going to be about three main transitions that you need to pay attention to as far as the story goes. The reason for that, or that I'm warning about that, is because they can kind of, if you're not looking for it or not prepared for it, it will kind of abrupt your flow. And what you need to do is just to be aware of that and just keep reading as well as you can, and take some time with this one, okay? There's a lot of nuances that you're going to miss because there's some very exciting parts, and if you just rush through it, you're going to miss some very very important bits of foreshadowing. It's a very important bits of narration, which really kind of makes the whole story, to be perfectly honest with you. So there's that. Keep those things in mind. Pay attention for that twist. We'll talk about it here in a moment, after you've read it. But take your time reading it, guys. Enjoy this one. Because there are things in life that are worthy enough that you should read them more than once. I'm not saying that you need to read this 4 times before you start anything. No, if you feel like you've got it on once, that's fine, obviously. But what I mean by that is you shouldn't just read it just in college. You shouldn't read it just in high school. Doing it both is fine. And reading it by yourself also equally fine, because there are things that you can learn from this piece and things you can learn from the construct of literature that it resides in, that being a short story, over and over again. And every time you might read it, you might learn something new. It might take 5 times and then you learn something new. It happens all the time, guys. It happens to me while teaching, even while I'll be up there lecturing, and then an idea will pop into my head that, oh, maybe this is what this idea represents. And so it's important that we work with very important pieces of literature more than once in our lives, and it should always bear being worthy of multiple readings. So anyway, enjoy, read it, then click on your post-lecture and we'll talk about the elements of it. And after that, obviously, you have your quiz, you have your blog. A couple things about the blogs, guys. Overall, you guys have been doing pretty well. But what I really need you to do is I need you to spend a lot more time on your own thoughts with validation from the text. Whenever I send up these prompts, guys, these are things I want you to discuss in your blog response. But I'm not saying, let's say you have 3 paragraphs to write, I give you 3 parts of it. You don't have to do a paragraph each. I mean, that's perfectly fine. But if you just want to brush up an idea that isn't as important to you as the other 2, spend the most of the time spending most on those first 2 prompts or whatever it is. But make sure you just discuss the whole thing overall. So that's, guys, those prompts and the paragraph things are minimums, like 3 paragraph minimums. Now that we're up onto a little bit bigger, we're onto 4 paragraphs for our blogs. Eventually we'll be up to 5, so be prepared for that. But you don't have to do each one for each subject. I mean, it's fine, but if you want to spend most of the time talking about 1 or 2, that's also perfectly fine. But spend this, guys, I want better quality than I want quantity. Does that make sense? Okay, I want good quality work as composed to I want good quality work as composed to quantity. So there's that. Enjoy and get to work.